podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
No breaks, no breaks, no fear, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Welcome to the latest episode of No Breaks, No Fear, the official British Speedway podcast. I'm Ian Brannan. Our guest this week needs no introduction. He's getting one anyway. He is three-time world champion TAI WOFFINDEN.
I feel like I could ride at some tracks. The fact of the matter is, if something happens on it again, like it'll just destroy it. There's that much metalwork in there. There's like 8 screws just in the tip of my elbow. It was that shattered when I did it. He said, this is such a complex operation because it was in so many pieces.
As ever, an insightful chat with TAI WOFFINDEN, who reveals some of the lengths the world's top riders go to in the battle to be the fastest.
I have a spreadsheet on my computer of every single part off the bike, every single part that goes on my body, what it weighs, how much weight we took off it, what the final weight was when it got bolted to the bike or when it got put on myself. You don't realise how deep it goes, hey? And it won't just be me doing that. There'll be a lot of at that highest level. But a lot of the riders are doing it to their body.
Lots more coming up with TAI WOFFINDEN in part 2 of this podcast. We also look ahead to the playoffs in the Cab Direct Championship. And the focus, to begin with, is very firmly on the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership playoffs as the Ipswich Witches get an 8-point lead to take to Leicester on Thursday.
Look, the guests come in today and I think they all did a very good job. Of course, Ian come in and he was fabulous at one.
Reaction from Monday's first leg and also reaction from Vauxhall after the Sheffield Tigers claimed the Knockout Cup last week, claiming the first major bit of silverware in the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership.
No breaks, no fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
TAI WOFFINDEN on the way later, but first let's start with the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership playoff semi-finals. The first set of fixtures underway this week, and Ipswich have an 8-point lead to take to Leicester on Thursday, with the semi-final perfectly poised at the halfway stage. The Witches won the first leg 49-41 at Vauxhall, which resulted in mixed emotions as they had raced to a 16-point advantage after 10 races, only for the Lions to battle back strongly in the closing stages. Guest for the Witches, Jan Kvek scored 10+1 for the home side, and fellow stand-in Tom Brennan and captain Danny King both notching 9 points. The Leicester Lions skipper Max Frick got 10+1 bonus and recovered from a slow start to the meeting to dominate the latter rides, and is 5-1 with Sam Masters, who himself got 10 points in the final race of the night, could yet prove vital. Well, let's get some reaction here from the two team managers in a moment. But first of all, let's hear from Sam Masters, who had a fantastic ride to help save the points in that final Heat 15, and he's chatting to Scott Nichols on Eurosport.
Well, I looked at it and it looked like pretty polished off 4, and the track staff haven't put some dirt on gate 3, so I thought I'm going to have to do something very drastic here, and held it flat note for the best, and I couldn't believe I got across, so yeah, I was pretty impressed with that.
Mate, it was, and then perfect bit of team ride, and Max doing a great job shepherding you around the inside, and obviously the fist pump there, mate, I know that means a lot because you cut that deficit down to 8. Stuart Dixon, he must have been pretty vocal going into that Heat 15. Oh, he was vocal all night, especially after about Heat 6 when we were a fair few points down, and got us going, but, to pull it back to 8, can't be too disappointed with that for what was 16 down, yeah, so the fist pump was more like, how did I get a 4 when we just got a 5-1? That's unreal, but, we dug deep. It's hard with having RR, and, we're missing Dougie and Cookie, and it makes it hard coming into the playoffs, but, yeah, 8 points, we can't be disappointed, and, still got a big task on Thursday. It was, but as a collective, though, I know, I was standing right near your pit spots, and it becomes quite individual at a point, especially early on, because your boys are struggling. They were pulling away from you. It looked like everybody was making changes to the bikes. Nobody looked really happy, and to turn it around, that obviously gives you a big boost going into your home leg.
Yeah, that's right. It's we had a bit of bad luck with my ignition going in that first race, so it should have been 3 points closer to the score, or 4 points closer to the score, and I didn't change much on the bike. I just knew I needed to just get in front, and the way the track was, you could make the start, man. Your life was easy, but we were struggling with that to start with.
For the Leicester Lions, then, they have some work to do. 8 points down at the halfway stage with their home leg on Thursday. Let's hear from Keenan Roux of the Ipswich Witches with Abby Stevens on Eurosport.
Yeah, I think at the start of the meeting we started really well, and as the track got slicker, we kind of lost the lead we had. Of course, it's still 8 points, which is it's better than nothing, but of course we had a bigger lead at the middle, and it would have been good to keep that. But it is what it is, and we move on to Thursday.
Were you surprised, Keenan, at at that lead at the start and how good you guys were. I know that we got a 1-7, but you got 2 guests in, and that's, you've got to try and fit in and slot in quite quickly.
Yeah, of course, it's definitely a patched-up team still, which it sucks as the team we had. I think we would have went very far, but look, the guests come in today, and I think they all did a very good job. Of course, Yan come in, and he was fabulous at 1, so yeah, look, it is what it is, and I think we all rode well, and we show what we can do, and hopefully we can push on towards Thursday.
What happens from now until Thursday? Is there like a group WhatsApp? Are you kind of motivating each other? Are you just talking about what you could possibly do at Bowman Park?
I think we all know what we have to do. We got to keep that 8-point lead and push on and hopefully make them finals. I think everyone's eager to make the final. It showed today. Everyone looked very good and fought well as a team. So hopefully we can keep that going for Thursday and do our jobs.
Adam Ellis actually had a really good point to Scotty. You were leading, the whole season pretty much until the last few weeks. Coming in now into the playoffs as the underdogs, not having that pressure actually is allowing you to have that freedom on the track.
Yeah, definitely. I think we're very big underdogs. We have a guest at number 1, and we have Tom also in the team as a guest. And of course, we had Emil and Doyle, and everyone knows how good they were at the start of the year and how good they always are. So, of course, we're big underdogs, but I think we all have a chip on our shoulder, and we all want to keep going and push on from where we were at the start of the year, and hopefully give back to all the boys and the team for doing such a good job.
It's been a bit of a tough time for the Ipswich Witches, certainly with all those injuries that have been piling up, maybe boosted by the return of Emil Sayfutinov in Poland. He's still signed out from action in Britain. His medical note ends after Thursday's meeting, so if the Witches did make it through to the grand final of the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership playoffs, then it would stand to reason that perhaps Emil Sayfutinov would be back in the side for that. Let's hear now from the team manager of the Ipswich Witches. Here's Richie Hawkins with Ryan Guest.
Yeah, delighted with the boys' performance. They're a massive increase on a few weeks. So our first victory for a little while, and I thought the boys looked like a team that's capable of getting in a final tonight. Determination was, and the team spirit and everything everyone fought together was like off the scale like we were earlier on in the year. So, Heat 15 was a big one for them, but we can go there and fight like we did tonight, then yeah, we've certainly got a shot.
I was going to say, is it a little bit bittersweet in a way, because obviously you're delighted to be taking some form of victory, and when you look at your performances at Leicester earlier this season, you've given yourselves a chance, but obviously you had such a big margin, double the margin with 10 races gone.
Yeah, I mean, I knew they was going to come back because they get the run of Gates then at the end of the meeting. They had the better Gates, and they're a very good team, yeah. So, and when it slickens off here, teams tend to obviously go better. So, and it doesn't suit us quite as much. But they're like the informed team. They were flying. So yeah, to get 8-point lead, really, I suppose a lot of people would have took that before the meeting started.
Yeah, you certainly would, and like you say, with everything that's gone against the Witches in recent weeks and months as well, to still be fighting in the position that you're in, it's a real proud moment for the club.
I'm so proud of this team we've had this year. It's been brilliant to work with. It's probably the hardest I've had to work all year. Obviously, the vast majority of guests come in and enjoyed themselves and done well and got stuck in, and they certainly did that again today. Jan was brilliant. It's only his second time here, and he did superb. Tom's been great, and I thought Ashton, the progress from riding for us a year ago, the progress he's made in a year is brilliant to see, and great to see him scoring so many points in the Championship as well.
Well, Richie, well done tonight, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Top man, thank you.
Ipswich Witches team manager Richie Hawkins with Ryan Guest. Well, Ryan also had a chat with Stuart Dixon, the Leicester Lions team boss. Now, for Leicester, mixed emotions, really. They have points to make up on Thursday. It could have been a hell of a lot worse, though. They were 16 points down after 10 heats, and a late rally saved the day in no small margin. Let's hear from Stuart Dixon right now with Ryan.
Yeah, I got the response I asked for. No, immediately we had a chat. I think it was after Heat 7 when they were doing the second grading, and it was, it was tough going. It was tough. They were riding really well. They were getting out the starts, no matter what gates they were on. We came together after the interval, short interval, and we managed to get a couple of 5-1s that certainly helped. At 16 down, when we lost that one to go 16 down, I thought to myself, oh, this is getting away from us now, sort of thing. I was starting to talk to Jen Crossland, Rob Lyon. I was saying, I'd bite your hand off for 12. The way things were going, and that's just the way it is. But to I think Richie Hawkins touched on it, getting into Heat 15, it could be a 16 or an 8-point swing. Thankfully for us, it's went to 8. It doesn't mean it. We've still got work to do. They're still 8 up. they get a couple of heat advantages. We're under real pressure on Thursday. But from 16 down, can't dress it up. We'll give ourselves a chance at 8. It's turned out a good result for us, a better result. But we'll need to ride better than we did tonight, that's for sure.
Yeah, this Vauxhall circuit as well, it can be a tricky one for riders of all levels and qualities, as we've seen once again. Ipswich getting off to a strong start on their home circuit when they're used to it, but the likes of Max Frick and Sam Masters are really coming good towards the end.
Yeah, Max had a difficult start by his very, very high standards. Sam Masters was winning the race, with half a lap to go and something went on his bike, and that was a 4-point swing. I don't like to make excuses, but that was a blow for us at the time, because it put us 6 down instead of being 2 down. But we stuck at it, and my riders deserve the credit. All 6 of them stuck at it. They were helping each other. You've seen the pits tonight. It was frantic. It was mental. A lot of interference as well for outside. A lot of outside noise. We stuck to our job, we stuck to our task, and everybody worked hard together as a group. It's difficult when you come away from home, it's playoff night. You feel a different atmosphere in the stadium, but we've given ourselves a chance on Thursday, and that's all we're looking for.
There was a time when the Ipswich Witches were overwhelming favourites as they were romping away with things at the top of the ROWE Motor All Premiership. Of course, those injuries have set them back. But can they cause a bit of an upset and knock out the Leicester Lions? The second leg takes place on Thursday. They have an 8-point lead going into that fixture at the Pidcock Motorcycles Arena, Beaumont Park, Thursday night, 7:30 the start time, and it's live on Eurosport and Discovery Plus. The next set of semi-finals take place next week, starting on Monday. The Bellevue Aces versus the Sheffield Tigers at the National Speedway Stadium, and then the return leg back at Oleton for the second leg, Sheffield versus Bellevue on Thursday. That's September the 19th, and both fixtures, of course, will be live on Eurosport and Discovery Plus. There was silverware to be won last week. We covered the halfway stage of this between the Sheffield Tigers and the Ipswich Witches. The second leg of the Knockout Cup final took place at Vauxhall Stadium last Thursday. It was a repeat of the Knockout Cup final from a year ago. The Ipswich Witches were victors in 2023, but in 2024, it was the Sheffield Tigers who secured their first silverware of the season with victory over Ipswich. The True 7 Group Tigers beating last year's winners 100-80 on aggregate. It was a draw on the night, 45 all at Vauxhall. And the Steel City side headed to Suffolk with that 20-point lead and held on to it ultimately, despite a few scares in the early stages of the meeting where the Ipswich Witches fought back on their home shale. The hosts opening with 2 5-1s, and Sheffield captain Carl Howarth hampered by some mechanical gremlins in the early stage of the meeting. But by the end, the strength of the Sheffield Tigers proved to be too much for the Witches, and it was a 20-point lead that remained at the end of the 30 heats. Let's hear now then from the victorious captain and team manager Kyle Howarth and Simon Stead. I had a chat with them at Vauxhall straight after the meeting, holding the silverware.
Yeah, it wasn't the start I wanted. My electricals went on my PVL, so wasn't the greatest of starts, but yeah, managed to jump on the spare and turn it around and get some points in, and just a great team effort all round for us to do the 20-point lead at home. That made it took a little bit of pressure off, but we always knew the pressure was going to be on because it's a tough place to come, Ipswich. We know the track, and it can really be solid at home, so we knew we had to hit them hard from the start, and we didn't quite do that, but we managed to pull it together as a team and work, and we just kept chipping away and got the points on the board.
And Simon, obviously coming here without TAI WOFFINDEN, both teams had their injury problems, but filling the boots of TAI WOFFINDEN, not an easy job, but through rider replacement, the guys have delivered. You made some big performances, big contributions on the points front, and it just showed how together the team are and how strong and strength in depth you've got across the team. Yeah, I think, collectively over the course of the 2 meetings that we covered TAI as efficiently as we could, really, it's not an easy task, obviously, to emulate what TAI WOFFINDEN would have scored. So it puts a little bit more pressure on. It's not ideal running RR, really, but you're limited in what you can do. But great effort by the lads. Put a lot of hard work in on Monday. Did like Kyle said, took a little bit of pressure off for today. And I think with the way that the gates went, the swing was in their favour early on. We didn't panic. We had a bit of bad luck, but I think we all had the belief that if we carried on and knuckled down, we'd have enough to do it in the end. And sealing the deal officially then were the Holder brothers side by side pulling wheelies over the line. It was a fine sight.
Yeah, it's never gets old, that, does it? But it was a team effort. You know, everybody had to pull in and do their bit. Certainly over the course of the 2 meetings, it's important that you can't single it out and look at one meeting itself. You know, a lot of hard work went into both. The fact that we got the job done in the end is great, and to get our first piece of silverware, obviously, of the year, roll on the next.
And it's a piece of silverware that eluded you last season, of course, isn't it? You were here a year ago and it went the Witcher's way, but tonight you finally get your hands on it.
Yeah, for sure, but it's nice to see the club's doing well and it's going in the right direction. Trophy in 2022 and win the league last year and a trophy already in 2024, so the club must be doing something right, so yeah, great achievement.
Well, it was in no small thanks to Josh Pickering, who scored himself a paid 18-point maximum in the first leg, along with Jack Holder, who also bagged an 18-point maximum. And in the return at Ipswich on Thursday, Josh Pickering top scored once again for the Sheffield Tigers with 14, paid 16. I also had a catch-up with Pico straight after the meeting.
Bit of pressure through the course of the meeting, maybe a few nervy moments with Ipswich getting a couple of 5-1s to make it interesting, but you did the business and came strong at the end.
Yeah, for sure, mate. It isn't how you start, it is how you finish. But we knew they would be coming out like a bull at a gate, and they did do that. And then we had a couple of little mechanical gremlins catch us out with Jilksy and in the reserve race. But fortunate enough, he could come off 15 and get the paid second. So that kept the 3-3. But then, as you said, they hit us with a couple of 5-1s and put us under a bit of pressure. But pressure makes diamonds, I suppose, and we got there in the end.
I guess it made it interesting for the neutral. I suppose some people enjoyed the meeting, and there's a bit of silverware, of course, that eluded you last season. So it must be nice to get your hands on it, and now turn the focus to the league playoffs and defending your league title.
Yeah, for sure, mate. Focus now shifted. We had a job to do tonight, and we done that, so it's great. We'll enjoy the celebration, and then at the end of the day, we've still got more to win. So the focus does not shift, and we'll just keep hard at it.
And it's the Aussie boys, though, that have really done the damage this last few weeks. You know, you're looking down the programme of the last few meetings, rarely a heat where there's not either yourself, Chris, or Jack Holder involved, and you've been delivering the points. And your performance, particularly on Monday, where you got a paid 18-point max, Jack got an 18-point max, and that really gave you that cushion to come here tonight.
Yeah, for sure, mate. We're working hard. Things are going right for us tonight. My first race, it felt okay. Throughout the middle, I felt a little bit, how you doing? And then towards the end there, for heat 14, I made a few changes, and it caught me out a little bit from the start. The reaction, I wasn't getting that, and then I knew what I had to do in heat 15 and got the job done. So happy to end the way we did, and thanks for the travelling Sheffield supporters as well for coming down. Rain, hail or shine, they were here and they were cheering. We could hear them.
So silverware in the cabinet already in 2024 for the Sheffield Tigers, winning the Premiership Knockout Cup and now turning their attentions to the league playoffs, which get underway next week against the Bellevue Aces. But the Sheffield Tigers bagging that silverware without TAI WOFFINDEN, who of course has been on the sidelines since that crash in the Grand Prix a couple of months ago. And our guest in the next part of No Breaks, No Fear, I'm pleased to say, is the man himself. TAI WOFFINDEN joins us next.
No Breaks, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
Our main guest this week, I'm very pleased to say, is frankly one of the best riders in the world. A 3-time world champion, TAI WOFFINDEN joins us. And a year ago we had TAI on the phone when he made his return back to British Speedway, racing at Sheffield, which is a special club to TAI because it's a club he grew up around. And you told stories about how you had a tin can under your foot and you were pretending to slide the bike around there, and now you're back at Sheffield. So with a year under your belt, first of all, how has it been returning to Sheffield? How has it been returning to British Speedway over the year that you've been here now?
I really enjoyed it. I obviously started the season. I was actually quite worried not worried, but I was quite hesitant about the little tracks because I haven't rode any little tracks for so long. And I felt that riding in Mildura, Australia, really got me excited for the little ones again. Just the way you ride the track, the technique of coming into the corner opposite lock and standing it up on its wheel, on its front, like on the front end. So when the season started and we kicked off the season away at Oxford, I was thinking, oh, here we go, this will be fun. But it was really good. I enjoyed it. And just been on a steady roll ever since. Just living the dream.
You've been pretty complimentary about the tracks, I think. I know that you said about Oxford, you enjoyed your time there. And did you ride Oxford in the old days before it shut down? You would have just caught that, I reckon.
Yeah, it was funny when when we pulled in and walked around, and I was having a look in the pits because the old pits are still there. When I was there last, so I'll always remember. Pretty sure. I want to say Danny Betson was riding for Oxford, and I was either riding for Scunny or Rye House at the time. I think I might have been riding for Scunny anyway. There was a puddle coming off turn 2 right on the inside, and I made sure that every lap when I came off the corner, I stuck my left foot out and dragged my foot through the puddle, and absolutely filled in Danny. And like he literally after the race, he was just covered in mud. The rest of the track was perfect. It wasn't even like dirty or wet or anything. It was just a puddle on the inside, and I was like, "Fuck, I'm going to stand on that at every opportunity I get." He wasn't happy about it. Yeah, that was a long time ago, man.
It's a little bit different now, though, isn't it? There's obviously more space to race, and obviously going to Birmingham, I guess, first time you've been there for a little while as well, and obviously Manchester, I guess, the places like that you've been to a lot. So it has been a bit of a different challenge for you. And now this last season, I suppose we've got, Magic back over here, Yank Vex come over. So more interest from these riders sort of following on from you coming up back and Emil and so on. So it's been good from that point of view of these top riders now wanting and seeing the benefits as well of riding in British Speedway. I think
I've always asked the questions. Me being me, I'm very vocal, and years ago the tracks weren't great. Not all of them were ideal to ride, and not that matters because it's part of you growing up riding them tracks and learning how to get through them, and without doing what I did in Australia and then riding in the UK on that sort of style track, it wouldn't have allowed me to get to where I am today. But when I was I'd fly to Sweden on a Tuesday, and there'd be a lot of boys that had raced yesterday or on the Monday in the UK, and the conversation around the tracks and whatnot wasn't great for a long time. So I was just like, okay, unless that kind of conversations change, I'm just happy doing what I'm doing. And then probably like the last 2 or 3 years, especially Doyley, he was very vocal about how much better it is and whatnot. And it was nice to hear, that's kind of like all anyone wants. They want to see good racing on tracks that are super easy to ride for everybody, so that everyone can have a good crack. And and then, like I said, I really wanted to get them little ones dialed in again, because I've raced in Europe for so long, and there isn't any little ones if you're comparing to like Ipswich or Birmingham or Oxford. There isn't really anything like that anywhere else that we race. So just enjoyed the process of getting back on it again. It's good.
And how do you think that those skills that you get at going those smaller tracks help you when you say back in the Grand Prix and so on? So we've seen Magic, for example, he's been back here this season, and he said he wants to have some maybe less than ideal conditions. He sort of relishes in it a little bit. How does that translate to when you are back on the world stage versus riding in Poland every week?
I wouldn't, like, at the level that I'm at, I wouldn't say it benefits me in any way. You could see that from this year, flying in England and Poland hasn't been ideal, and neither of my Grand Prix performances. So it's just something that I wanted to do for myself. Over the years, there's a few situations where, I got in a bit of a pickle because I hadn't turned the bike like I should have. And being able to ride on a weekly basis on them tracks in the UK really, just really sharpens you up really on the little ones. But again, like there's not really anything on the Grand Prix circuit that's the same as that anyway.
This injury to your elbow has ended your season, but just tell us about how severe it's been, because there's a lot of work has gone on. You've said in previous interviews that it is one of, if not the worst injury that you've had. So just tell us about the severity, the seriousness, and the work that's gone on to put your elbow right to get you back on the bike again.
Yeah, it's been ridiculous. I've had a lot of injuries over the years, or maybe not over the years, from 2019 onwards, really. Prior to that, didn't really have too many bad ones, but yeah, it's just been frustrating. Like, when I broke my elbow, woke up from the operation, I was like, oh, that'll be healed in 6 weeks, which it definitely wasn't. And then had like the 10-week checkup, still fractured. I fly to Poland tomorrow morning. I got a couple of other scans, and them other 2 scans, there's like 3 different fracture. Like there's a delayed union, a non-union, or a part union. Ideally, we want it to be a delayed union where it is healing, but it's just taking a little bit longer than we would like it to. So the other scans, I had an X-ray the other week, so these other scans are gonna show what's going on. I was talking to Faye about it the other week. Like it's a real tough one because I could probably ride in Wrocław. I probably could have rode the Grand Prix at the weekend, but trying to get around Ipswich on a Monday is a whole nother story than riding around Wrocław in a Grand Prix or Wrocław in a league race. Wrocław's big, round, slick. You kind of sit on it. You don't really do much. You just flick it in. I feel like I could do that. But to be all in and do everything, and I'm not going to come in. I'm not going to be like a rider that's going to come in, just ride in Poland and not do the UK, or just do the Grand Prix and not do Poland and the UK. If I'm back, I'm back, and if I'm not, there's a reason I'm not. So, racing on a Thursday night and running to the dirt line at Sheffield and hitting that berm, I can't do that. Not yet. There's still stuff like I'm lifting 2 kilos in the gym, triceps, 2 kilos. Like it's nothing. Today I was able to hold a 40-second plank on like a half a Bosu ball with it slightly moving. So just like, which, last week I could only do like 15 seconds. So the progress muscle wise and the recovery of all that is amazing. Like I've come on heaps in the last 2 months. I'm basically doing everything in the gym full gas. Like we did a ski erg relay today, like 2 200-meter efforts at 150 pace, 250-meter efforts at 140 pace, and 4 100-meter sprints at 130 pace. 130 per 500 meters is a quick pace on a ski erg. Like it's full gas, and that's like fully pulling down as hard as I can. I can row, I can do everything, but there's just some movements or some positions that I just cannot be in, and that's where the problem is. And then obviously like the fracture's still there. So, if I say I did ride at the Grand Prix last weekend, which obviously I want to do, and something happens and I go down on it again, like it'll just smash it to bits. It's not healed yet as it is. If I was to go down on it again, it would make a mess. And the surgeon has told me that. Like he said, the fact of the matter is, if something happens on it again, like it'll just destroy it. There's that much metalwork in there. There's like 8 screws just in the tip of my elbow. So it was that shattered when I did it. He said this is such a complex operation because it was in so many pieces.
And we saw actually Mickelson. He had the crash. He's done his elbow as well, I think. So
yeah,
obviously it wasn't you, but if that was you again, then obviously that's not going to be a good situation for the long term, is it, for your career?
Oh yeah, it is what it is. It's what we do for a living. It probably would have helped if I had elbow pads on. But that's a whole nother story. We haven't even got time to get into that. This might sound stupid to some people, right? But I took the insert out of my boots. So that means when I take the insert out, you put an insert on your foot to protect your ankle before you put your boot on. I took my insert off, threw it away, put 2 pairs of socks on. Then I can go 3 sizes smaller on my boot, which means my steel shoe is 3 sizes smaller. So we saved a lot of weight there. My body armor is a back protector. I don't have anything else. Took my shoulder pads off, took my elbow pads off, It's just extra weight. I don't plan on crashing. If I crash, I'll deal with it. So, and all these things that I do and other riders do, which probably takes away from safety, some aspects of it, what we do, but it's just to be lighter because there's no rider combined bike weight limit. So the lighter you are, the faster you're going to be. And when you're racing people that are like, there's 2 guys in the championship that are 58 kilos. Doyley did a podcast and he spoke about it the other week. And it's a thing, you know, like Zagar could have been world champion, but the fact that he was 8 kilos heavier than everyone else, not going to happen. So I do think that's something that should be looked at in the sport. But it has to be across the board. It can't just be for, you know, I know one rider that doesn't eat food for 3 days before the Grand Prix. He just does liquid diet. So he's as light as possible on race day. Like it's just not safe. But
and it comes down to such, obviously, you know, those fine margins of the weights, that losing some elbow pads here and there or whatever it is, or as you say, a slightly smaller steel shoe, every gram is adding up.
Every gram. Like I have a spreadsheet on my computer of every single part off the bike, every single part that goes on my body, what it weighs, how much weight we took off it, what the final weight was when it got bolted to the bike or when it got put on myself. Like my knee braces at CTI, every year we've gone lighter and lighter with them. And CTI is at the point now where they're like, we can't go any lighter because we don't want to compromise the safety. But it's like, don't coat my knee braces in lacquer. Don't paint them. That's an added coat of paint. Like, that's extra weight. Keep it raw. Strap the straps on and send them over. Like, you don't realize how deep it goes, hey? And it won't just be me doing that. There'll be a lot of at that highest level. But a lot of the riders are doing it to their body. Like, they're not strong, they're light.
So I see, we know about light riders, and we can look at light riders in the Grand Prix, but I didn't realise that some of these riders are actually, you know, dieting so hard to save every pound as well as every component on the bike. And looking at the top of the World Championships then, a lot's made about, you know, Bartek's, you know, what is it that makes him a world champion? What is it that makes him different? And you're saying here then that it's all of it. It's not just his riding style. It comes down to deeper things than that give you the advantage.
Yeah, I don't think he necessarily rides any better than anyone else. He has a different style, which looks cool. Yeah, okay, Doyley's style was a bit different, but he's also quick. He's also just as quick, or he wasn't until he crashed. So 2 completely different styles, but both have amazing amounts of speed. But you're talking a whole package. Like it is more than just that, but that's just one thing that I believe should be looked at. For instance, I weigh 65 kilos. There's some guys that weigh 58, right? So I'm not saying, okay, everyone has to weigh 65. Because then I've actually spoke about it with FIM. Or some guys can add weight to the bikes, and if they're smart with it, they'll use it as ballast and put it where they want, lower and further back, more grip on the rear wheel, all that sort of stuff, like they do in Formula One and rally. And then all the guys in the championship can eat a fucking cheeseburger and go to the gym and lift some weights instead of eating salads and going on liquid diets. Like, get strong, get fit, be healthy. I should actually send you a picture of when I was 63 kilos. I literally look like I've got AIDS. Like, it's hideous. I'll send you the picture on WhatsApp when we've done this podcast.
All right.
You can just like quickly screen share it.
But you've talked to me. We did an interview, and I don't think it's actually seen the light of day yet, but it might yet later in the year. We did an interview on the media day at Bellevue. And also you were talking about like the mental aspects of Speedway as well, and how it, you know, like lockdown, for example, and the whole Poland thing, and you know how life was there actually really affected, you know, your head and Speedway. A lot of people will say, you know, a lot of it's won in the head before you even get down to the tapes, and just talk to us about that, because that's a side that you've put a lot of emphasis on.
Yeah, just got in a rut and couldn't get out of it for a couple of years. I would say, like, I'm fully out of it now, and I would say, you know, it was probably the middle of last year where I actually started to get myself out of that hole that I was in. And I've never been one to like, say any of that sort of stuff and, stress about it. But yeah, it happened to me firsthand. So I've always thought it's a load of cock, like get on with it, toughen up, and is what it is. But yeah, I went through that, and it was a learning curve, and I definitely know now things that I can implement to stop me from getting in that place again. So there's some cool things that I learned there. But yeah, in hindsight, obviously I wouldn't have wanted to even be in that position. And it was moving country and living in a foreign country for 2.5 years just wasn't right for me, And yeah, Faye just came. We're doing this, yeah, sweet, let's go. Faye and the kids don't care what we do, but yeah, for me it was tough.
Now, obviously things are obviously quite a bit different. You've moved back to the UK, you're UK based again, family's back here, and I think riding at Sheffield must be like riding with mates in many ways, because you are mates with Josh Pickering. Away from Sheffield, in real life, and also with Chris Holder. You've spent a lot of time together over the years as well. And those two riders really have stepped up, haven't they, to fill in for you for Sheffield, the ride replacement situation or elsewhere. And, having those guys there has really, powered Sheffield on to this stage now and winning that first bit of silverware this season as well.
Yeah, it's good, and it's good that they've stepped up and they're doing their job, which is amazing. And Steady and the management at Sheffield, can't really ask for much more than that. It's good to see Pico on a bit of a roll now towards the end of the season, not only in for Sheffield but for his other teams as well. And yeah, Chris is always good. Like, he's always got that bit between his teeth, and it's been nice watching him from the start of the season to a few months in, and you could just see that, that Chris was just shining through, and he was, jamming people and getting in here and out there, and just really good to see. I always go to the fence and watch Chris's races. I love watching him ride. Yeah,
there have been, I think this year, from my experiences when we've been certainly with BSN and stuff to Sheffield, I think there's probably been the best racing that I've seen around Sheffield for a long time, probably in no small part due to the quality of the riders that the team has as well. But there's been some heart-in-mouth moments. You were one of them, I think, one of the best races I've seen, where you were... I think it was Zach Cook, wasn't it, in the lead, and you did him right on the last bend. That was pretty cool.
Oh man, Sheffield's a fun place to ride, but man, some days you're on the limit. Like I said to Steady, I was like, man, I can't ride this line that I ride. I can't ride this every week in, week out, because I'm just, sometimes you flip a coin if you're going to get around. And we saw it go wrong with Emil, didn't we, the other week? And obviously he's now back on a bike, which is good. Yeah. But that's what happens when it goes wrong. And that's the thing, especially at Sheffield, when you come there as an away rider and you don't really know the track or where it does bite and where the off cambers are. It is a tough place to be. But yeah, like some days I go into the third corner and just as the sun's going over the grandstand and you're blinded for at least a full, must be a full second. And that's like right when you're tipping into the corner and you don't see anything, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh sweet, I've made it. And then you can just keep riding like the dirt. But yeah, it's good fun. I loved it. I'd like to stay there next year, so we'll see. Well, it's got to be good news for the Sheffield fans listening. They'll be crossing their fingers, I'm sure. And next up, of course, it is the playoffs, and Bellevue await, and a rivalry that needs little introduction, really. Yorkshire and Lancashire, Sheffield versus Manchester, and you've had some good clashes already this season, and looking forward to a couple more over the next week. 100%. It's always good when we race Bellevue, and everyone I feel like everyone in both teams enjoys riding the fast track, so it'll be tight as always, but yeah, can't see why Sheffield can't go all the way again. Yeah, and already got the Knockout Cup under their belts, so looking for the double as well. So it's going well for Sheffield so far. It is, mate. It is. Let's talk about your tour, because you are heading out on the road with another legend, Peter Adams, which is going to be fantastic. And I'm sure that Peter will be telling people his story about looking
Bruce Pennall in the boot and smuggling him into Eastern Europe or whatever it was. You are heading on the road, though. People will be able to see you in October. You're going to Berwick, the Black and Gold at the stadium there at Sheffield Park on Friday the 4th, and then the 6th, Bury St Edmunds, the Hunter Club. You're going to the Adrian Flux Arena on Monday the 7th at Kings Lynn, Oxford Stadium on the 8th of October, Wolves. You're going to the Cleveland Arms just down the road from Monmore on the 9th. Sheffield, you're at the OEC, which is part of the stadium, really, isn't it? Just on that first bend there, the conference facility there. And then Saturday 12th, Workington. You're going to Marchand Sports and Social Club, and in Scunthorpe on Sunday the 13th at the Redbourne Sports and Social Club. So those are the tour dates then. What can people expect here? You, as I say, you're there with Pete Adams.
Big Pete.
Yeah. So what can people expect then, Ty? What's the format?
Yeah, like I haven't done one of these since the days with Nigel, and we had such a great time. And there's from my side, there's no filter. Like I just say, as it is, just normal me. No cameras, no BS. So everyone always has a giggle because I literally just say it as it is. Doesn't matter if I'm going to upset anyone. I don't really care. If somebody said something to me that's annoyed me, and I'll be happily repeat it. But we will be discussing everything. There'll be no limitation. We also do a few questions from the fans, which gets quite spicy as well. Nikki always gets mentioned somehow. But yeah, anyway, I'm looking forward to it. We're doing a nice little tour. There's a lot of people that are actually like, oh, why haven't you done one here? Why haven't you done one there? But I'll see how this one goes, and if it's all good, then I might fly back a week earlier from Australia and do something in March for all the places that we didn't go to or that we haven't booked yet. But again, like I said, this is something that Nigel would organise before. This time it's me organising it. So just trying to navigate it the best I can. Obviously, I haven't been racing, so I've had a lot of time to do this sort of stuff and organise this sort of stuff, like British GP after parties and talk nights. So yeah, I'm excited for it. It's always fun. It's always fun.
And it's, obviously this year alone, as your career's been, is at its highs and lows, but, this year in itself has had plenty of highs and lows. And so I'm guessing this is an opportunity for, fans to find out your thoughts and the supporters to hear it firsthand from you on what you think and how things have gone this year.
It might end up being a therapy session for myself and just offloading all my shit, but yeah, I haven't spoke to anyone really in depth about how it all unfolds and what's gone on and who I've had in my team and teams being changed and whatnot, all that sort of stuff. We can speak about all that. Yeah, so it's always good, and there's no media there, so nothing ever gets repeated, and you can have a bit of fun with it.
Well, looking forward to that. So you can get the tickets. We're going to put the link in the description of the podcast as well, so people can just click it straight from there. But I can tell you what it is. It's portal.offbeattickets.com. And then you can find it from there. But we'll put a link in the description of the podcast so you'll be able to find it and click it from there and get your tickets and go along, because there's loads of dates across the country. I think there's one probably in like pretty much every region, I think. And as you say, if there's any gaps in the calendar, people can make their requests and maybe you can fill those gaps in at another time.
I wanted to do an Ipswich date, and I was advised against it. But we're going to Bury St Edmunds, so it's kind of like between Mildenhall and Ipswich.
Was that because of the comment on the mic?
I don't know what it was about. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Ample parking for broomsticks out the back, yeah?
No comment.
Awesome stuff. Well, look, thanks, Ty, thanks for your time. And yeah, good luck with the recovery. I think it's just getting yourself back to normal, isn't it? And keeping yourself busy on the DJ decks as well. So, yeah, have you got any dates there? Any other big shows coming up? Or
No, I've actually got. I have got a little bit of stuff planned. I've got a new song coming out mid to late October, again on Armada, which is amazing. The fact that it's on such a massive label is nuts to me. And off to Amsterdam for a week for Amsterdam Music Week, ADE. I've got a bit of activation to do there off the back of the track that we released, plus some promo for the track that's going to be released. And then from Amsterdam, I fly straight back to Australia. And then I'll have some bookings over there when I'm over there. But yeah, pretty much just enjoying life at the moment, but want to ride my bike. So it's a strange one.
Hopefully see you back on a bike soon. And what do you think you'll be taking part in some of the stuff going on in Aussie then when you go back there? Like there's obviously the various events down there. Are you getting involved in those maybe, or will that be too soon?
I would like to, but at this point I need to have my scans this week, find out what's going on with my arm. It could be possible that I have to have another operation. It could be possible that I might have to have maybe a bone graft. There's a few. If I have a bone graft, I'm going to go back and cast for another 4 weeks. So for it to sort itself out, and I would like to try and get the metal work out as soon as possible because I cannot straighten my arm, and that's a bit of an issue.
It is a bit. Well, hopefully it gets sorted for you and heal up good, and come back and entertain everybody and do all the stuff that everybody loves seeing, but you love doing as well. You love being out there on the bike and throwing it round.
My life. But yeah, anyway, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
TAI WOFFINDEN on No Brakes, No Fear. Fascinating chat. And if you want to hear more from TAI, then you know what you need to do. You need to go and see him on his tour. The link is in the description, but if you search TAI WOFFINDEN and his tour, portal.offbeattickets.com and it's /O/Woofenden. So look out for the tickets. He's coming to a place near you, and if not, he might be coming to a place near you at a later date. But in October 2024, see TAI on the road, and you've got to be there to hear what he's got to say. So look out for that. So in the next part of No Brakes, No Fear, we'll just turn our attention to the Cab Direct Championship playoffs. Now decided, the Workington Comets have made it, and of course Poole top the table. Oxford and Scunthorpe are all doing battle for the league title in the championship, and we'll hear from Peter Schrock in the next part of No Brakes, No Fear.
No Brakes, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
So in this final part, just shine the spotlight on the Cab Direct Championship. The playoffs get underway this week, and it's a double header, in fact, on Wednesday night as the Scunthorpe Scorpions head to Oxford and the Poole Pirates host the Workington Comets. The Workington Comets sealing their progression through to the playoffs at the expense of the Glasgow Tigers. Workington bagging all 3 points from their fixture against the Plymouth Gladiators on Saturday at the GT Tyres Arena, and that meant that they were uncatchable after the Glasgow Tigers failed to beat Edinburgh on Friday. Oxford and Glasgow faced each other on Sunday, which, despite nothing riding on it, still produced some fantastic racing. If you haven't checked out Heats 13 and 15, which are available on social media or on the BSN social media pages, then definitely worth checking out. 2 tremendous races featuring Chris Harris and Sam Masters going full tilt at it. At that fixture, we caught up with Peter Schrock, team manager of all 3 of the Oxford sides, but focusing, of course, on the Oxford Cheetahs. And he started by singling out Ashton Bowden for particular praise over his recent fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, the lad is just excelling each time, and he's really finding his feet now. He went through the stage where Speedway can be confusing, listening to too many people, and he's gone back to basics. Listen to 1 or 2 where he listened to at the beginning, and it's working for him. So, but everybody goes through that through Speedway. When things don't go well, a lot of people give you all different advice, and then it starts getting confusing, as you know yourself. So, but he's found something again, and he's full of confidence, and he loves racing his bike. So, and I think we had a treat today, that's for sure.
I mean, we certainly did, and we heard in commentary during the meeting there was a few comments on it's going to be pretty hard to keep a hold of him for next season, but that'll be 100% the thing that you'll be wanting to keep a hold of that lad.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I'm not being biased. I think he's in a very good club. I think everybody knows that by now. We're trying to do all the right things, and I told him, at the end of the day, in Speedway you've got to be very careful that you don't get called a travelling man. Going from one place to another. He enjoys riding with us. We know how he ticks. He knows how we do things. So I'm not too concerned about that right this minute, to be quite honest.
I know we spoke earlier on during the broadcast, but no injuries tonight at all. Everyone's going home in one piece. All bikes are in one piece as well, which is ideal for Wednesday.
Yeah, that I don't think I could have coped with any more injuries, because we worked so hard all season, and to come to the end of the season, and what happened to us, it happened to us, loads of other teams, in the past. Sheffield, look what happened to them. It's one of those things, but I think we patched it with a little bit of plaster to get through. And, Wednesday, we're going to be totally focused, because I believe that is the crucial part of our journey. Wednesday needs to be a very good meeting for us and get as many points as possible to take to Scunthorpe, because you can't underestimate those guys up there. They're pretty sharp up there. So, Sam had a bit of a not very good meeting there last time, and a classy ride like that, as you can see, that doesn't happen twice on the trot, so I'm hoping that he's going to have a better one and make our life a little bit easier.
Just a word, Peter, about the other side of the semi. We now know obviously it's the Poole Pirates. They've been long qualified, but came down to this weekend really to decide it, and the Workington Comets have got there. And I don't know, are you surprised that, considering that Glasgow had so many meetings in hand, they had like 4 or 5 meetings in hand, I think, and really not really got much out of those, and they've fallen short?
Yeah, they fell short. I mean, it's the first time in quite a few years where they fell short. 10 years, but you can't take it away from Workington. Everybody written them off at the beginning of the season, didn't they? Because of the side, what they put together. But I think most of the riders they signed up, there was very, guys we'd never heard of. And I think they're very, very unfortunate to lose Tate, because he's a real hot prospect, and I think he, probably would have made it even a little bit easier for them. So, but to bring Craig back, on his local track, and Troy Batchelor found his feet again, is their strong side. So, I'm by no means they're just going to Poole. I don't think Poole's just going to run away with it. It's going to be a tough one for them as well.
I think as well, Craig Cook, I know he's out of the fixture for Leicester in the playoffs, so it stands to reason that he won't be riding for the Workington Comets, at least on Wednesday.
I mean, at that level, there's some very good riders around, isn't there? So,
that amount of points to play with as well.
Exactly, so they're in a very privileged position. And, you always want to do these sort of, I'm a great believer, you want to do these sort of meetings with your own team, which got you through, but sometimes you have to work with what's in front of you. And that's probably where Workington is going to find themselves right now. But I'm sure they're going to find a very good guest if Craig's not available. And they're going to push all the way. So, it's very exciting times, I think, for British Speedway at the moment. It's for us personally, to be in the KO Cup final with Poole, it's, as you know, there's not many tracks down south now. So for us, it's going to be a mega meeting, basically. You're going to have a bumper crowd from Poole. It's always a good meeting between Poole and Oxford. Yeah. So, for business, it's going to be great. And if we can push on and hopefully get them in the final in the championship as well, then, we can turn around and be really pleased with ourselves this year. Never mind about winning. It's just getting into those finals. That's already a major step forward.
So that was myself and Greg Blair on BSN's Facebook Live show, the BSN Debrief, which happens after some of the meetings. So you can catch that on Facebook. And it is a big week for BSN, in fact, as well, because you've got no shortage of Speedway available on the TV this week. Not least, of course, the playoffs in the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership, but the playoffs in the Cab Direct Championship as well. BSN showing 5 meetings this week and 2 at the same time. On Wednesday, Oxford versus Scunthorpe and Poole versus Workington being shown at the same time, with all 15 heats from both venues. Thursday, we're back to action on Eurosport as the Leicester Lions host the Ipswich Witches in the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership playoff semi-final. Friday, back to Scunthorpe as the Scunthorpe Scorpions and the Oxford Cheetahs face off in the second leg of their semi-final. And then on Saturday, the Poole Pirates head up to Cumbria as the Workington Comets take on the Poole Pirates on Saturday in the second leg of that one. So in theory, by the end of the week, weather permitting, we will know who is heading to the grand final in the Cab Direct Championship. And then on Sunday, we've got action at Redcar. It's the Championship League Riders Championship, the CLRC, which has got a fantastic lineup of the best riders from across the Cab Direct Championship, all battling it out at Redcar for the title of being the Championship League Riders Champion of 2024. So those Cab Direct Championship playoffs and the CLRC are on BSN this week, so 5 meetings on BSN this coming week. And then you've got the action on Eurosport and Discovery Plus from the ROWE Motor Oil Premiership. So enjoy your week in Speedway. Thanks for joining us. We will be back same time next week for another episode, reviewing all of that and unpicking it all right here on No Brakes, No Fear.
No Brakes, No Fear. The official British Speedway podcast.
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.